Alright folks, welcome to the video. Thank you for checking it out, whether you clicked on it by a link or just stumbled across it. This is a video showcasing some changes that I've implemented to Eureka Farms made by TNT Modding. This is on a console, PS4, and this is not the most current version of the game. This is a version before it was updated and had all the giant modified equipment taken out. So, for example, this combine here has a capacity of 500,000 liters of crop. Um, some people don't like to use modded stuff. I like to use modded stuff because it allows me to put a worker out on a field and not have to be constantly chasing them around while I'm doing other things like delivering loads of crop to the silos or to the co-ops and whatnot. So the main point of this video, if anybody's still listening, is I reached out to TNT Modding back in February about this and what I was doing, and I'd like to show him what I was doing. He said he was interested in seeing it, and then I didn't get it completed, and his wife has sadly passed away, and he's deleted all of his social media. So now that I've finally finished this, I can't really show him what I've done. So anybody that's familiar with Eureka Farms knows that it's a map of very few fields, but they're very large fields, and it's a pretty flat map. It does have some elevation changes, but it's mostly a flat map. I really enjoyed playing on this, but there was nothing stopping a person from just driving the tractor straight across this field, through these fields, over here to this field. There was no ditches or any kind of a terrain break or field fences or hedges or anything, and so I played with it and had a few different ideas. And one of the first things that I did was, and I'll show you right over here. Let's see here. One of the first things that I did was tried to implement some ditches, just to kind of keep you from jumping the path and getting off the road, but they weren't that effective, and you can't get any closer to the road than this here, so you can't really do that much, and it's really sad. And they just didn't work out like I wanted to. So the next thing that I did was I decided to make some hillier terrain, because I'm from a rural state with a lot of hills, and I really enjoy farming on multiple levels, and we do have a pretty diverse area of large flat ground fields and then some smaller fields up in the mountains. I figure most states have something similar to that have any kind of an agricultural community. But if we look right over here, and you can kind of follow along on the original map down in the bottom left corner, over here I've got a little garage set up and this is partially for roleplay and just partially for looks, and that kind of adds some life to the map. But we've got some tow trucks set up over here for A2 Studio, and man, I can't remember all the modders' names, but people have done some great work on mods for this game, and everybody should just check out it. If you need, check out anything you like, and ask me any questions about it, and I will gladly tell you what they are and where they came from if you're curious. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. You can tell I don't have a script. So basically what this is fields 2, 3, 4, and 7 are all completely intact the way they normally were. Fields 1, field 5 and 6, fields 12 and 13, 8, 9, and 10 have all been heavily modified to make the map a little bit more lifelike, or less lifelike, or more challenging, or more fun, or however you want to look at it. And so I built a road system, a large road system that you can actually drive pretty fast on, that snakes around through here, going up and down several hills, winds its way all the way across the map, and then it ends up with a split where you can go into my farm that I have built, or over to a small farmers co-op community that I've built, where you can buy products and sell products, and do some horse activities and get some sprayer equipment rented or loaned to you. Um, just different ways to play with the game. I do have a shop over here that pays more money than the other shops in the game. That way when you're making the long drive from here all the way over to here with your crops, you're actually getting paid for your drive time, which is one thing I wanted to try to do, was make it an actual reward for putting in the effort to driving across the map, because it is quite challenging and it does take a little bit of time. And we're restrained on the PlayStation with only having these 2x maps, so you can't really have that much road space without having to snake across the map and cross over stuff. And I'll show you how we do all that. But if we start over here, like say we're at the shop area here, and we come up here and we come around here, or say we just got done harvesting field 2 and we've got a trailer load of crops, we need to come up here along the map and come around here and get on our trail or road that leads up and across the map. So let's take a look at how that would kind of play out, and then we'll look at it in the first person perspective. So here we are, we're right next to field 2. We've come up here and we come around the corner, and lo and behold, this whole mountainside right here, there was an overlook, and it just collapsed down on the road, blocking traffic. Nobody can get through. This ditch is too deep to go through, go around, and we can't just drive through this person's field, obviously. I mean, obviously we can. This is our game. We can do whatever we want. But I wanted to give it kind of a storyline as to why we have to drive the longer road when the map is so small anyway. And so that takes out the option of just coming right around here and getting on the road and coming around. So now anytime we do a field, say we do field 2, we've got to go all the way down this road, all the way around here. We'll come down this road here, past the shop, and then it comes around, follows this road around, and comes back up on this side. And the way that he designed this map is this road, you can see I can't even move my cursor any closer to the road. That road is at the very edge of the map. If you go off the edge of the road there on the left side, you are hitting a wall, and you can't go off the edge of the road there. So let's take a look at what this road system kind of looks like and what it entails and some of the details that I put into it. So you start out coming up this hill, and this is all supposed to be pavement. It's all smooth enough that you can drive it at a pretty good pace. 50, 60 miles an hour is quite possible. I've had semi-trucks up to 80 miles an hour coming up through here. All these trees are planted by machine. It's not like I just came through and went tap 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 on the controller and planted them. They were all planted with a tractor and a tree planter in game. That's the reason they're all in perfect little rows. I'm sorry it sucks, but it is what it is. And these trees look great in their second and third growth stages, but once they hit their fourth and fifth growth stages, they just look like these tall skinny toothpicks that just want to be cut down. And so what I wound up doing was having these trees planted so closely together, so thickly, that they actually make a nice canopy, and it's quite nice to go down in here and just walk around. It's kind of neat. I wish I could have done that for every hillside in the game. That was my original intention, but that didn't quite work out, because literally the game said you can't plant any more trees. That's not literally what it said, but you know what I mean. So this road comes up here. We've been continuously climbing since we got on the road. It comes around here, snakes around through these trees here, snakes up here over this canyon outlook, and then circles back down into this valley. This little canyon is here because there's a section of terrain right here from the very beginning of the game. Every time I reloaded a brand new save file, there's a section of terrain right here that cannot be modified. It's just stuck how it is. You can't change it. And so once I already had this whole area built up and started carving out the valley over there, I had to basically give an explanation for why there was a hole in the ground. And so in doing that, I made a trail that's designed for pickups and four-wheelers and whatnot. It's not designed for semi-trucks or large tractors to come through. And you come up here, cross this bridge that bridges this little canyon gap, and circle around, and then hairpin turn back, and you cross this bridge again higher up. Again, keep in mind this was the very first trail that I designed. It doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. Um, it's just for fun. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's just for fun. And then you got a little parking area here with a small walking trail that comes down to a little decorative cross here with a neat little overlook of the scenery, and you can kind of see the lay of the land and everything. If you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle and enough traction, you can actually come up this little trail that I built that joins back onto this main road that we're looking at here. Okay, so once you're up here, there's another trail that cuts off and rides along this ridge and comes over here to what would be field 1, which it looks small on the map, but it's quite large, as you can see in person. And this trail actually leads around. It doesn't just lead to field 1, it actually leads around the field. Trying to be smooth with the camera here. It leads around the field and then starts going down the back side of this hill, and it snakes around following the terrain for someone with a pickup or a four-wheeler to come down through here and kind of go for a little trail ride if they wanted to. Circles back around itself and comes out down here on the ground at ground level. If I have enough time, I'll show you what this looks like in a vehicle. So back up to here where we were. The road comes around, comes down into this valley. We've got a little cornfield here with a path that goes around it. I was originally going to have access to water right here because I forgot to mention this. I don't know if you can see that down there. I guess you can. I built a river in the game. There was no river in the game. This is all I built. I built this using a pond water mod. Just basically getting them all the same level and then stacking them. You know, this is one here, and then there's one here, and there's one here, and then there's one here, and then just modifying the terrain around them is to make it look like a river and get them flowing down through here. And I think the result, you can see where two of them are overlapping right here. It's kind of glitching when the camera's moving. When the camera's not moving, you can't tell that that's not the same thing. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I wish there was more you could do with it, but you just kind of have to end it. I can't obviously run water off the end of the map like a real river, but you know, standing here you can't tell that. So this road snakes around here, crosses this river, and then comes around this field that's blocked off by fences. I tried to use different things to limit my ability to cut across fields and take shortcuts, and in this case it's a fence. And if we follow this trail all the way back here, we've got a nice little log cabin up here in the mountains you can visit. You can actually use it for your sleep house, but you just have to change it to the different model that is a sleep house. So this main road circles back around, comes back up, and goes out through the mountains, and then comes out on the outside of the mountain and snakes its way up. And then I'm going to show you what's at not the end of the road, but what's up here. This road comes up. This joins over there by the canyon, the canyon road over there, but this road actually turns and goes across this large bridge that I've built using a bridge from the AJ Tech's No Man's Land placeable mod pack. I'm happy with the way that it turned out, but this was the only way that you could really, because this goes right over the road that we went down earlier. So it goes over the road. This was the only way that you could really snake the road around and make it make sense that it was a larger distance to drive on such a small 2x2 map. This makes by making it multi-leveled, it gives you more driving opportunity if that's something that you like to do. So over here on the other side of the bridge, we get our first little glimpse of the farm that I've built down here, and then this road continues to circle around, and then it starts coming down in here. And the way this is designed, this road is about 10 meters wide, or about 30 feet, give or take. It's actually closer to like 8 meters wide, so it's actually, it's actually closer to like 24 feet wide is really what it is, kind of. But this road comes around and down, goes around my farm's hayfield, circles around, and then comes down here, crosses this bridge and this other river. I built 2 rivers in the game, by the way. And then you have the option, once you make this incredibly tight turn, you have the option to either come down here and visit my farm, or go up and go visit the farmers co-op. Let me show you what I've got over here. Again, built this little river through here. Everything that I used, I tried to use mods that had as low of a slot count as possible. The only reason I use this house is because it's a one slot house. Every animal pin that you place down allows you to animate 20 animals. And so I placed 4 cattle pens that don't have fences, and that allows me to animate 80 cows. The game doesn't seem to have any problem with it, doesn't do any glitching or anything, and it very rarely ever crashes having all this animated. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. And then over here we've got a cattle barn that actually looks really nice, and this is where I'll have, well, obviously I've got another 20 cows in here, but this is where when I'm actually playing the game I'll have 100 head of cattle or more that I'm milking and feeding and everything. These are just going to be for decoration. This building houses all of our loose crops and stuff, so I'm going to be feeding my cows and stuff with TMR, pigs with pig feed, then anything that needs hay or straw pellets or oats, we'll get it scooped up here and delivered to their pen as needed. And then we reuse the shop building from earlier as a place to store our hay equipment. And then we've got a little chicken coop and a very nice decorative pig pen. I think this is the prettiest pig pen mod you can download, with all the trees and everything in it. And then the sheep are actually supposed to look like they're free roam, with a little shed there. They sometimes get in the way, but it ain't no big deal. And then we've got a horse pasture over here. This river kind of starts out here. I wish I could make it look like it came from somewhere, but it doesn't. It kind of appears out of anywhere. It's kind of a spring river. Then it flows down through here, lazily snakes its way through under this bridge, through this little valley, and then I didn't really have any good way to end it, so this is supposed to look like a waterfall. There's not a waterfall mod in the game, for console at least. So there's that, and then it just kind of ends in this little pond area here by the road. There's some other trails. This trail, by the way, this road comes straight across here, goes straight across underneath here, and comes out over here on the other side of the map. I built the terrain up over it, and then I built a small road, very narrow, very crooked, very steep, for single vehicles, small trailers, single tractors, small implements, to be able to come up here without having to go the full long distance around. And then they can pass through to the main road that leads over to the farm, or they can come on around and enjoy this little scenic drive down here, down this side of the mountain, and come out over here. So once we're done at the farm, we can come back up here, make the turn, come up this hill, make this hairpin turn here, come up this hill, make this little hairpin turn here. We're at the very top. We've got a radio tower up here with a bridge going across to get to that. And then this road comes back down, snakes around. These little wooden signs with the arrows, they're solid, they're not going to go anywhere. These plastic barriers are completely movable, so if you miss your turn, you actually can go off in the ravine down there. And then we're going to come down here, and we have our little farmers co-op village set up. And we've got some construction equipment in here, because just like over in the other area, we've had another little bit of a rock slide, a little bit of a cave in here. This was a little cliff section underneath this bridge, and it has kind of collapsed down, and we've got a crew in here to fix it up. This little shop here is where you can sell most of your crops at a little bit higher rate. It's a fairly new mod. You can sell it at a little bit higher rate to pay for your time of actually driving all the way over here. There's a few details in here. Aside from this car, basically, this whole area, and maybe this riding area, this whole area took less than 55 slots. And the reason I say 55 slots specifically is because there's a farm shop that I wanted to use over here as a place to buy anything, basically like this buy anything mod here. And that one mod was 55 slots. This whole area set up here is less than 55 slots, because everything is pretty much 1 or 2 slots each item. I think this is like maybe 4 slots for this little horse pen. These hotels are 1 slot. The parking spots are 1 slot. The car is 1 slot. 1 slot for the warehouse. 1 slot for the woods. 1 slot for everything, basically. Even this big warehouse, 1 slot. So I was able to build this whole little area here and not use hardly any slots, and I think it turned out well. I'm happy with how it turned out. So let's jump over here to the start of the trail, and we'll see how this looks. We're actually on the trail. We won't stop for very much. We'll just go as fast as we can to get across there. It is 13. Okay, so it's 1:57 in real time. So we'll see how long it takes to get over there to the other end of the map. So this is as smooth as I could make it. It's not as smooth as it could be, I suppose, but it's pretty smooth for going 80 miles an hour up here with a truck and trailer. I mean, anything over 55 miles an hour is how fast pretty much how you're going to be going on a state highway anyway. So we can come up here, make the circle around. How many of you guys noticed the tractor that's literally buried in the trees there? It's been there so long the trees have just grown up through it. Got to be careful coming down through here. This is a little bit rough, and it will throw you if you hit the bumps wrong and you're not pointed in the right direction when you hit the bumps. And as everybody knows, the steering in this game lacks a little bit to be desired, so we're just doing the best we can, getting down through as quick as we can. Because I didn't want this video to be too long, but I wanted to give you guys an idea of what it was like to truck something all the way from the shop, all the way over to my farm or to the farmer's co-op and vice versa. Because that's where I actually keep the sprayers for the big fields, is over at the farmer's co-op. I'm not actually going to own those when I start playing the game, or playing this map. I'm not actually going to own the sprayers. They're going to be property of the farmer's co-op, and they loan them out and rent them out however you need them. And so in order to get them, you'll have to truck them across the map to wherever you want them to go. So if you need them over on field 4, you got to truck them all the way from that back corner all the way back the opposite direction of what we're doing here. So now we're on the outside of that valley, and we're just trucking up and up and up. Again, for the most part, I'm happy with how smooth I was able to get everything. There's some spots where I wish I'd have made it a little smoother, but for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied with it. It kind of gives a purpose to the trucks and the trailers in the game, because before there wasn't really much of a purpose to strap a piece of equipment to a trailer just to drag it across one field. Now we actually get to do that and enjoy this view up here, man. I really like this view. You can see the John Deere dealership sign from all the way up here. This bridge is old. It's worn out. It's not the smoothest thing in the world, but it's still good. It's still solid. Don't want to go flying off of there and kill some pigs. Basically everything that I did was either trying to find a balance between making the map smoother, making the road smoother, using as little space as possible, and try to make it look nice. So some of the things don't make 100% sense, like why is there just a random cliff there, or why is the terrain fell down in that one area, or just what have you. Just trying to make the most out of a 2x map and get the most diversity out of it. We've still got some big fields for arable farming. We've still got some pretty good sized fields for doing hay, if you like doing bales and stuff. We've got some small fields for doing some localized stuff. So we're coming across here. So we started over there, what was it, 157. It's been about 4 minutes, and we're climbing up our last leg of the journey here. This is the steepest part of the journey here, and if you're heavily loaded or something, you will struggle coming up here. Obviously, we're not loaded at all. I like this little detail I put in. It's just supposed to look like somebody broke down with their old vehicle and just left it there. Now we're at the very top of the map again. We're going to start coming back down to the co-op. I hope this video was entertaining and you enjoyed it so far. I didn't really have a script. I just kind of had an idea of what I wanted to talk about and get out there. And hopefully you guys like the layout of the map, and I can find somebody that'd be interested in turning this into an actual mod that other people can play on. It doesn't have to be this exact layout, just something similar. I'm not a huge fan of the Pacific Midwest or Northwest map. I really like the combination of layouts between the large fields